What's going on today, everybody? So today we're going to meet aries styrene. Yeah, that's and get to know him a little bit. I've got a couple questions for him, and we'll see what we can learn today. Hopefully, everybody likes today's show. All right, how's it going, man?
Well, relaxing on this rainy afternoon.
Awesome. So anyway, what kind of things do you like to build?
You name it, I'll build it. Except for some reason, sci-fi is not in my collection. I don't know why. I look at it all the time. I just don't build it.
That's cool. I mean, there's nothing wrong with that.
Yeah.
So what's your favorite out of all the stuff you've done?
Like genre?
Sure.
I always like military mostly.
Like tanks or
tanks, mostly tanks, yeah. Tanks but wheeled vehicles like the recovery armored personnel carriers. Those ones really get your juices going. Maybe because I like wheels, so since the other thing I'm known for building is cars.
Oh, okay. That makes sense.
Yeah.
And then it doesn't help, like some of the tanks, you get those rubber tracks.
I actually like the rubber tracks.
Oh, really?
Well, yeah, because I build modern armor.
Okay.
And modern armor, 90% of or I'll say 75% of the track you can't see. And it's tension track to begin with. So it's already straight across. You don't really need, sure, it's nice to have that individual track links and all that stuff, but really you're not going to see most of it.
And have you put together the individual link tracks?
Oh, yeah.
I find those to be a pain in the butt.
Well, yeah, there are some that aren't as bad, and then there's some that are just really bad. And when I mean as bad, they're always a pain in the butt. Some people actually like it, sanding down every single little piece and stuff like that. To me, that is relaxing to a point. But when I hit the 80th track I have to do out of 200, I'm like, okay, this is getting ridiculous.
And that's just one side?
No, well, you'll get about 120 per side, depending on the tank. But yeah, I find the rubber tracks work. Like these are rubber tracks here. And I'll point out, like, for example, this is what I'm working on. Where did I put my camera? Those are rubber tracks. As you notice, when it's on the ground, you'll never notice. But you don't see the upper half.
No, that's a good point. That's a good point.
And that's a Canadian tank. Like there are, when you build a Challenger 2 or even an Abrams, the armor's down even further. Like you won't see half of what you see there.
So. Oh, okay. And you know what? That makes sense. I don't generally do the aftermarket stuff on the tanks because you get quite a bit with them when you get.
Like there are tanks. I have one that it's the bane of my existence because I keep losing parts on it. It's the one of the Trumpeter T90s. There's over 1,200 parts in it.
How many?
1,200, over 1,200.
For a tank?
For a tank. 35 scale tank. A lot of them are tracks because you got to put each track on and each guide horde on. And then I always forget what they're called, but the parts that hold the track together. It's like 4 pieces per track.
Holy crap. That's
4 pieces.
I didn't know that.
Yeah. And then you got, I don't know, it's just, and they're tiny little real detailed pieces. And they're in plastic and they just go bing. And you're like, I'll never find that.
Yeah. I understand that one. Being out here
if I was hermetically sealed, I would never see it. Like, I don't know anyway. Hey, look, Dustin's here.
Yeah.
Missed his live chat last night because I was learning about the Irish Spring Revolution.
No, he's a pretty cool guy.
Yeah.
So out of all that, we're going to talk about rattle cans for a minute.
Sure. Anything you want.
That's mostly how you paint cars and tanks and stuff, right?
A lot of the time, yeah, it's Rattle Can.
So how do you get those? Because I've seen some of your car builds.
Yeah.
How do you get those nice finishes with a rattle can?
Believe it or not, it's not as hard as you think. I was taught how to do that probably 8 or 9 years ago by one of the old guys in the hobby. Actually, a couple of the old guys in the hobby. One was Chevy Cheeseburger.
Okay.
And the other one was, let's see, who else taught me? Cale Gaither. You know, we may not talk these days because of politics, but man, that guy could paint and teach you how to paint.
No, I mean, that's really cool.
One of the secrets is, well, the others, like nowadays, like why my builds are even shinier is because I use Mr. Hobby. Super clear. This is the semi-gloss, and it's a true semi-gloss. They have a flat that you let all this stuff. You have to let this stuff dry for at least 24 to 48 hours. There you go. The flat will go super flat. The gloss will go super gloss, and the semi, well, you know, it's like just your normal. And they have a matte finish also, so you got 4 different stages.
So
3 layers up on this. This is a special enamel, or sorry, lacquer. So you got to let it. You do your 3 layers, like all other you do, but you have to let them dry for an hour between each layer. And then you, let's see, hour between each. Then you got to let it sit for a week.
After,
there's level. This has, since it is Mr. Hobby, it has leveling thinner in it.
Oh,
yeah.
Okay.
So it's worth a little investment if you can find it, because it will go flat on its own, like smooth, I should say. And then you, of course, get out your polishing and your anything you need, your wax and stuff like that.
No, that's cool. And is it worth staying in the same types, or do you vary? You know what I mean? Like testers all the way through, or from primer to clear coat, or can you
know that does. I agree with that system where you stay within a system a lot of the time. Mr. Hobby and Tamiya like each other, so that works out fine. It's like you can use primer. Mr. Hobby's primers are probably some of the best you'll ever find.
Okay.
Like they have a Mr. It's the Mr. Finishing Surfacer. Here, this is 1500 black, so that goes down smooth to begin with. And then you just come back, like they have a gray at 1200, a white and gray at 1000. Then you go down to 500. And then if you want to put actual texture on your Jeep, Mr. Surfacer, I forget, I think it's like 1 or 200 or something like that, maybe. I don't know. Most of the Jeeps or tanks I build are pretty smooth to begin with, except for the anti-slip. But if you were to build an older one, you could actually put texture on your tank.
Well, no, that's really cool.
The only thing about sprays is you do waste a lot. Most of these, all of these do come in bottles, so you can airbrush them. I found with the Mr. Hobby clears, though, you don't get the buildup to make your layers nice and thick compared to the can when you do your clears. But the finishing, like I airbrush Mr. Hobby Black in 1500 also. So
what do you mean by that? You're not getting. So do you just like?
Well, you're building up your clear to make it look thick. Now, yes, if you were to put that clear in scale, it would look like at 1-to-1, too crazy, too thick. It would like you'd be adding like 100 pounds to your car just based on paint. But it looks better on camera.
Okay.
Like remember, we're always playing with our eyes, right? So
yeah,
we see shiny and we go, "Oh, that's too good." But in reality, nothing's that shiny.
No, that's true. That's true. Even when it's really nice out, it's
shiny. It's not, it's not that thick on the on your car.
But what I was meaning is, are you just doing just a solid, like solid wet coat, or are you trying?
No. You well, each can of clear is works in a different way. Like with the Mr. Hobby, you can do your tack coat, and then you do you only do it up in like at the most medium coats each time, and let it dry. Because since it has a leveling thinner, which is a retarder, it may look like, okay, it's great. Now I can put my second coat on or my third coat on. If you haven't let it dry, like for an hour, you'll start to see it running down, dripping down the side of your body, which is never good.
No, and that's generally.
So you're like, uh-oh. But when you get to the bottom, like it'll drip right to the bottom. And then you got that layer of goop. And you still have to wait at least a week before you can start sending that back.
Huh. I'll have to remember that.
It's all about, when it comes to the Mr. Hobby, it's let it sit. With Tamiya, you can probably get at it within 24 hours. Like you do your 24-hour dry and then you can get buffing at it. That's not a problem.
No, I mean that's great. I never was the tagger, you know what I mean? Yeah. So I'm horrible with rattle cans. Like I'm getting better with an airbrush.
Right.
But
it's the same process with the airbrush. Except
okay.
for you don't waste and send so much spraying everywhere else.
Yeah, no, that's probably true.
And if you can get outside to paint with a spray can, that's highly recommended. That's why I have this sitting here at all times. But still, I live in a hole under the stair, like a stair. It's the reason it's called a troll hole is an old British thing where the trolls lived under the stairs.
Oh, okay.
So
okay. So you said decant. What do you mean by that? Is that just?
Well, Mr. Hobby also comes in. Let's see where I can find any. For example, here. That's the same primer in a bottle.
Oh, okay.
The primer or the clear is usually under Mr. Color Clear GX.
Okay.
And then they make those clears in different colors too. Like, for example, like a trick for I forget who it was. His YouTube channel's name was 45 Productions. He came up with this idea of taking Tamiya metallic orange.
Okay.
Laying that down. And then you lay down Tamiya clear orange over top.
Okay.
So that gives you the richness. And then I took it a little bit further and I started adding the Mr. Color, clears. So I've done the same thing in different colors. Like I'm doing in the future a pink, what am I doing? A Toyota 86. for
Oh,
a,
okay.
and I'll take the Panther Pink or whatever it is called, one coat testers, and then I'll put this over top. The GX color, and it'll be by airbrush because they don't make it in a can. Mr. Hobby doesn't put a lot of their stuff in the can, and if they do, you can't get it in North America anyway. And when I tried their colors in the can, that stuff went everywhere.
I bet.
I was like, no, I'm never using this can.
So if you like decanted a color,
right?
Okay, you basically put it into a jar, right?
Yep.
Go from there, because I've heard you're supposed to thin it. You can just spray it out of it, or does it matter which product?
If I was decanting, well, it depends what you're doing, like whose. But me personally, I use a term that I really don't like, but I'm a fanboy of Mr. Color, Mr. Leveling Thinner.
The 4,000 or whatever, right?
Yeah, Mr. Color, 400.
400. Okay, yeah, 400.
I mean, I'm a real fanboy of that stuff. I thin all my lacquers with that, no matter what. And if you're going to airbrush and you want it thin coats, that's the best. And then, of course, it will dry flat.
Yeah, I on certain channels you hear that called unicorn tears or whatever.
Yeah, yeah.
Like it's. Yeah.
It goes well with all lacquers. Well, I'll say not all lacquers. I say most lacquers because I've heard rumors that certain lacquers don't go with it, and I'm not sure what it is. But none of the ones I use. And when you start playing with like MIG, Model Color, AK, I find with those it's always best just to use their thinner.
Just for the best results, right?
For the best results that I can get. I mean, I've heard of, there's Jesus juice and all that stuff, but at the same time, I'm like, I don't use it enough to, it's just, I'll just get the thinner. It's right there.
So last topic about cans.
Yeah,
okay?
yeah. Anything you want.
No. How do you take care of the tips?
Oh, I clean them off after every time. I just wipe them clean.
Do you spray them upside down? Because I've heard that too.
You're supposed to. And yes, I did that, I don't know what, 25, 30 years ago. Because that's what it said to do. Which I always thought was funny considering they're complaining how much paint you waste.
Yeah.
When you're just painting it, now you want me to turn it upside down and waste it some more? Well, I wipe the tip off with a whatever I've got. Usually it's a paper towel, and then I haven't had an issue.
Okay.
I mean, how's that go? That's my advice. That's how I do it. That kind of silly shit. But as a disclaimer, but I've never had an issue with it.
No, I mean, that's kind of. It seems like there's 4 or 5 different ways, and it seems like everybody has their go-to thing.
There is. Like, I don't know. You have your way. I have my way. Gil has his way. Fred has his way. We all have our own way of doing things.
And mine's usually fucked up.
Well, don't worry. So are ours. You don't see the mistakes ever on YouTube, do you?
Well,
maybe we should put them on there, but like, I had a funny question asked in a forum a couple weeks ago. It was like, why do YouTubers use spray cans so much? And I was like, the only reason I could come up with is because we want to get it done fast in a YouTube up. That's the only reason. There's no specific reason why a YouTuber uses spray cans more than they use an airbrush. Except for those that they see us using spray cans. I think we only do it to get the videos out.
But then you still have to wait like a week, right?
Yeah. When I mean, we all get better and more patient over time. In the last couple years, that's why my builds have got shinier. It's because of the patience of waiting. Because when I started out in this, I was, 10, 12 years ago, whatever it is, like hardcore back in the hobby with my own room and all that stuff. We were doing the 48-hour builds every weekend. It felt like it went from one a month till when we started finishing, it was like almost every week.
Oh, wow.
And it was just like, oh, but it was fun. It taught me it teaches you organization. And it teaches you to what you can and cannot do quickly. Like if you want to put a high quality shine and use enamels, you got to get a dehydrator instead of waiting a week or two, whatever, to let that gas out. That's why we all went to lacquers. It's quick. So I could get you can spray Tamiya and be at it within an hour.
Yeah, but isn't Tamiya acrylic, or some of Tamiya acrylic?
It's a lacquer acrylic. It's a hybrid thing.
Oh, okay.
Like it's got its own formulation in it. That's why it smells as much as it does compared to other paints. Because you're smelling the chemicals. It does have chemicals in it.
Oh yeah, I've had a couple colors because I've bought stashes and some of that come with it. And then you're like, and I try not to have things that are really toxic here. That's why I stick to craft acrylic.
Right.
So yeah, I never end up keeping that stuff because I never feel like it's gonna last me because having an 8-year-old, try not to keep too many things toxic in here.
Oh, you kidding? My kid just loves the smell of paint. He'll be upstairs and he'll be like, oh, paint. I love that smell.
Oh, yeah, well.
And then the girlfriend's like, what's it with you boys and the smell of paint? It's paint or gasoline or both.
See, but because I live in the valley here in Oregon, I probably can't smell anything about 10 months out of the year.
Yeah.
So, if I'm using a rattle can of any kind, doesn't matter if it's primer to the clear coat, I have to put the mask on because I never know when you've hit that limit, after you've been spraying a while.
Oh, I know. Oh, no. I do know what you mean because I've actually hit that limit once or twice during COVID when I was like in a rush to get something done and I just wouldn't put the mask on. And then I'd relax. I'd go upstairs to get a beer or go to the washroom. And then I'd look behind me in the room, and I'm spraying into a booth. And it's still, I'm looking at the room going, wow, these booths are good, even with a clear thing, but they don't take it out when you're spray canning as much as you think. That's why I recommend if you can get outdoors, do it outdoors as much as possible.
No, but see here it rains. Like there's only months out of the year where it's not raining.
And that's another thing when it comes to spraying. Remember, it's like any other paint, especially when you're spraying lacquers and lacquer, like Tamiya Tamiya's new lacquer. Like all of Tamiya's cans are actually lacquer, from what I understand.
Oh, the primer to the little bitty. Like
I don't know if you can get them. Do you get them yet? The new TS colors and stuff like that from LP colors, I think. Yeah, LP from Tamiya.
No, I don't think the hobby shop near me carries them.
Oh, okay, because they started coming out a couple years ago, and my hobby shop has a lot, like the full range. Actually, both of them do. Actually, no, make that all three of them do. I got lots of hobby shops around me. I laugh when people say that the hobby's dying, and I'm like, really? I got a hobby. The only place it's dying is like you can't go into the big box stores and buy them anymore.
Well, I mean, at least down here in the States, I mean, Michael's, but the selection at Michael's is horrible for kids.
Well, yeah.
Supplies isn't too bad. And then you get Hobby Lobby where the kits are great,
Mm-hmm.
but the supplies are like crap unless you're,
Yeah.
you know, and it's which beast do you feed, right?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Like with me, I've got one of the best hobby shops known in all of North America, Wheels and Wings. They have nothing but plastic. And if there's a new kit and any plastic worth its weight, they'll buy it. And they buy multiples. And like for example, about a month ago, ICB or ICG, whatever it is, brought out a Canadian armored car from World War II. Or World War One, sorry. I was at the shop. They had just got in 30 kits, if not more, maybe 40 or whatever's in 2 cases.
Yeah.
I went for a little drive. So within an hour and a half, when it would normally take me 45 minutes, so it wasn't that much longer. So an hour and a half by the time I got home, sold out. It was like,
Really?
I was looking at the price going, the wife's in the car. If I come in with $100 kit, she's going to be so pissed. And then by the time I got home, I went online to ask him. It was gone. It was like, oh. They got more in now, but now it's past.
So since you have quite a bit of shops in your area, how do you like the pricing at some of those places? Is it getting ridiculous, or is it getting kind of?
It depends what you call ridiculous. Like in my world, it's not. Sure, I remember back in the day. I mean, honestly, I don't remember back in the day when a kit cost $4, but I do remember back in the day where it was 10 or 15, and okay, at that time, the price of how much I was making compared to what it just sure it climbs. At no point can you ever think of model making as a inexpensive hobby.
Well, you're around my age, right? I'm about 42, or just
I'm older than you.
Okay, so
Much.
yeah, but like, it seemed like when I was in middle school, high school, the hobby was kind of for us. You know what I mean? Wasn't really, because it was priced different. Uh-oh, he froze, didn't he? Uh-oh. Oh, there we go.
Okay, we're back. At me or you?
I'm gonna say it was you.
Okay, cool.
Because I don't know. It could have been me too.
Somebody ran into a pole.
So you know what I mean? Like the hobby was kind of priced differently back then to where it was affordable for us. Like if you know,
okay, I understand. Yeah.
Like now it's like most of those car kits are what, $25-$30.
Up here they're 35 to 45, but yeah.
But you know what I mean? Like it's they're kind of pricing themselves out a little bit. At least that's my opinion. I could be totally wrong, but it just seems like it's getting more and more expensive, and it's not.
Yeah, but the hobby isn't designed for kids, and that's the problem with people out like now. That's what I see. Like, the hobby's not dying; it's just changing its demographic.
No, that's true.
Like, I don't know about you. You have an 8-year-old. I have a 14-year-old. If my kid was sitting around at 14 years old, especially here where we only have a certain amount of time you can get out and enjoy yourself. If he was sitting around building a model, I'd be kicking his ass out the door. Dude, get out there. It's like with me. I mean, come spring, like the first thing I do is I'm in my hobby room and I'm looking at my models and I've got a fishing reel and I'm tearing down in front of me.
No, I mean,
because I can only go out so much.
yeah.
And if there's one thing, it's funny. I'm not into this whole trend that they have now of hot tenting. You know, I'm not going to spend thousands of dollars on a canvas tent and go sit in the woods. And I'm like in the middle of winter. I'm like, I got better things to do.
Yeah, like stay warm.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
Oh yeah. I mean, my furnace is right there.
Oh, so you could really just put the models over there.
Oh, I've done it. Yeah.
No, that's cool. And that's some of the problem I have out here in the garage is whatever temperature's outside is the temperature in here.
Yeah.
Sometimes I can get I can get a kit, all the way painted and it's dry in like 15 minutes because it's 100 degrees in this garage.
Yeah, exactly.
And then other times it's like,
yeah.
I fucked it
and
up.
that affects your paint too. Like really affects which paints you use. Like if it's really cold to a point of cold in the house and you're, it's not that cold, but it's kind of cold down here right now just because of the weather outside. I'll use flats. That's when I can start working on armor. But if it's starting to be cold in the house, don't paint clears or shiny things because it just takes forever to dry, even longer.
No, I mean
2 weeks becomes 4 weeks, and I'm really not into I like to build my models. I mean, when I started doing this, a lot of the big thing is I didn't live in the house full time. I had two places. We had our home here, and then I had an apartment downtown Toronto. Because the way my hours worked, it was easier for me to live and commute down from downtown and then come back up here on the weekends.
Oh, okay.
Which I learned made my easier for my painting, especially for the clears, because I do it on Sunday afternoon, put it in a container, come back a week on Friday.
There you go. Oh, that's... Yeah, I mean, it is once you kind of figure out the method, right? It's really easy to get stuff looking nice.
Mm-hmm.
And that's probably one of the couple of things I like about your channel is some of the stuff you do turns out really, really nice.
I'm glad you think so.
You know what I mean?
I look at it and think, oh, okay. That's okay. I mean, but I don't build for contests, so. And because I look at contest models and go, I don't quite understand I understand the judging, having been there, but I don't understand the whole get there at 9, do the shopping. So you want to get the good kits, got to be registered by 12 and you don't leave till 5. I'm like, how do you spend 8 hours?
Especially the one by me. I think they started at 8 o'clock, and then the final thing they handed out was at 6:30. That's almost a 12-hour day.
Yeah, and I'm like, how do you guys do that? Maybe because I'm always on the move, and I have more than one thing I need to do to make up for what I had in the week, hadn't done during the week, like chores. I mean. It's not like you're not. It's not like the kid's gonna do it when you're not there.
He.
It's hard enough to get them to take out the garbage.
Well, he's not quite old enough to do that, but
yeah, mine is. He's got like one major chore a week. Just take out that goddamn garbage.
Yeah, one day I'll give that to him, but not anytime soon, right?
Yeah. Well, check your questions.
So, what do you do for work?
I'm a chef, which means I'm not doing anything at all right now.
Oh, wow.
We're shut. All our restaurants are shut down.
So how does being a chef help you with your model making?
Organization. Yeah.
That's cool.
You can't be a good chef if you don't know if you're not organized.
No, that makes sense.
Yeah.
No, that makes sense.
You plan your menu, you plan your, like, to me, building a model is like planning a menu. I have to have everything ready, available at the time, done. And you stay within the parameters of it. If you go outside your parameters, that's when the model gets put in the box. Because you lose, to me, I lose focus. It's like, oh, I want to do this, I want to do this. I get it all planned, and then another thing pops in my head. It's like, crap. Okay, now I got to wait. And if I have to wait for something to come in, it goes in a box, and I've already started something new. And let me tell you, I've got a lot of started kits.
Yeah, it's. I understand that. But no, that makes really good sense. Being organized is something that I really struggle with because I'll get something.
Sorry, I just read that.
Yeah, we'll have to go through the chat. It's been.
Oh, it was pretty funny. I like the one Mopar not put up. I cure my steak in my paint. Medium rare. By the way, I like my paint rare.
Yeah, we'll have to go through the chat here, but no, I mean that's really cool. And for me, I just I never seem to have everything at once. Well, so I'm always putting something away.
And that happens also. I mean, I don't know about you, but how much planning do you do for a model?
For me, it's get the kit, and then after that, figure out how I'm going to prime it, whether it's Rattle Can or airbrush or styrene or whatever I'm going to use. And then after that, it's kind of like when I do figures and stuff, I'll put them in primer,
right,
and then sit there until I figure out how to get the color where I want it.
Okay. Yep.
And
me, with it was like I would, since I had that week in between always, I buy the kit, and I literally would go through as many YouTube channels and Facebook and Google Images or whatever of that kit I could find, and then go look for the real thing to get inspired. So sometimes by the time I actually got back, in my head, I built the kit and I just left it. I just spent a week researching, sitting on a couch, bored out of my tree, because I didn't really, contrary to popular belief, we don't hit the pubs every day around here. Well, we hit them, but it's only for a drink after work. I would spend hours researching, and that was the exciting part.
So, when are we going to see you do a figure?
What do you mean? I've done figures. Yeah.
Oh yeah. You do those Whiz Kid ones, huh?
Well, I have Whiz Kids. I have what's their name? Games Workshop.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, I built those. I built the Whiz Kids Workshop. Yeah. So yeah, I've painted figures. But if you mean like a military, full-on, like a bust.
No, I was more thinking these kind of guys.
Oh, you mean
these are the Transformer Whiz Kid ones?
Oh, okay. Oh, you mean like at that point it would be like, you mean like a Gundam or something like that?
Yeah, I mean I love Gundams.
I know I look at them too, but unfortunately, I've got to the age where I look at them and go, well, I don't want that little one.
Come on, it's cute. Oh.
No, I look at it because I want to build that big one. And then I look at that, like I won't lie, I've looked at the red Zakus and stuff like that. And I think they're cool. And but they're expensive.
Yeah, they definitely
And for me to call a model expensive when the kits I have are, $170 or whatever, it's like I'm not spending $250 on a snap to tight kit that you snap together, get it to work, then you pull it all apart, and then you prime it, and then you individually paint it. And I'm like, I watch those guys and go, wow, no. Especially like I said, those kits, I don't want to put it away, and that's my fear. Another fear, I'll start it and not finish it. And
yeah, I've got my haul of queen, shelf queens.
Yeah, like do you know the Revell London bus?
London bus. Oh, it's like a level 4 or 5, right?
Double decker.
Yeah.
I've had that for 10 years.
Not built or in the box?
In the box. I took it out to do a review on it, and it literally took up a 8x8 space on my floor.
Wow.
I was like, you build this up in levels, paint as you go, and then you got to make sure the outsides fit. It makes those Volkswagens, I hear they fit great. But I just look at that and go, oh my God. Like, wow. No. I'm not ready yet to. Which is funny considering I build Italy trucks. I don't know how I can figure out how to paint the shell of the bus, like the body, separate from the body or from the chassis and all the seats. Because from the build-up instructions, I'm not sure you can do that. So either I tape up everything, and that's a lot of windows to tape.
Yeah.
Or I paint each piece individually, like shell piece individually, and hope they fit together perfect. Yeah. And with all the work you put in that, I mean, it goes together well. It's highly, highly detailed. I'm not ready for that yet. I'm not that retired. Like, hey, I'll tell you what. I bought the Revell pirate ship that they've come out with in 72 scale, which is actually the Black Pearl, but it's just got a different bow, the head or whatever they're called on the front. It's got a swan instead of what the Black Pearl has. And I was like, oh yeah, this is what I'm going to build during COVID. No. I literally decided, you know what? I'm going to build an 18-wheeler with a trailer. All the parts are like 2 cars and a bunch of stuff to put on top of that before I'll even think about building that ship.
Hey, dude, I got to go check on my son for a second. I'll be right back.
Yeah, man. We'll just chat away here. Oh. I like Fred Henry's idea, sneaking out to eat for 3 hours. Oh. What are you doing there? You see, Captain. Oh, yeah, Mopar. I see what you're saying. Yeah. Those subscription kits. They look nice, but over time, I feel like it'd be cheaper just to buy the kit.
Boy and his dog. Jeez.
Yeah, it happens.
No, that was a noise I couldn't ignore.
Yeah, well, I know. It's like.
All right, so I didn't really have any other questions. Do you have any questions for me?
Sure. I'm going to ask you a question I don't think anybody's asked you yet. Why did you decide to do this? The interviews.
The interviews?
Yeah.
So really it's about me learning tricks, topics from other people.
Right.
And it's kind of, I'm not going to lie, it's kind of helping growing my channel a little bit too.
Well, that's good. That's the idea, isn't it?
I mean, it is the idea. I'm trying to get more out there.
Mm-hmm.
Seems like everybody likes these, so
Yep.
I'm going to continue to do them. But like, I used to put up videos, and then like 6 months later, I'd finally get 10 views.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, that's just being honest. But
no, dude. If you've ever watched my channel, there's one thing I'm not. I'm honest.
So
I'll tell you how I feel.
like, I have no idea how many subscribers I have now. I haven't looked, but I'm getting more and more every week.
Yep.
So the channel's growing, and everybody seems to enjoy it. So I'm just gonna roll with it.
Yep. I kind of gave up on that. Like, it was funny. I had the whole idea redoing everything in here and building into a more of a studio oriented, mics over top, cameras and all that. And then I I looked at one of my issues with YouTube, like before COVID, was having to have a video out every week, do all my building on the weekend, and get a video up and going. Because my schedule was, get it up Sunday night. Because I found on Sunday night, majority of people, Sunday and Saturday morning are when majority of people watch any video. And that's you got to, and then you got to maintain your schedule. And I was like getting to a point where I was like, I'm not building any models for me. Like, I'm building them for the channel. So then I would have to go find models that could be built quickly. Which was like, eventually I was like, I've got all these very, reasonably high-end models sitting around, and I'm not doing anything with them. And I'm going out and buying a Rebel, car that you could theoretically build in a weekend, like we used to do for 48-hour builds, just to get it up. And I'd be like, oh, no.
You kind of have two ends of the spectrum, right?
Yeah.
And I'm going to use Dirt Pit as an example. You have a video, and it's basically 20, 30 minutes long, but it has steps in it, right?
Yeah.
And then you do that every week and a half, 2 weeks, whatever the ratio he works out. And then you have the other ratio where you do in the instructions, step 1 through 3, the first episode.
Right. Yeah.
And move on,
Yeah.
And kind of just work your way through it.
Yeah. My partner, she always goes, why don't you do one of those, build videos? And I'm like, because I know with those build videos, I literally watch the first 2 or 3 minutes and then fast forward to the final product. And just so I could see how it turned out.
Yeah, that's
there are guys on YouTube that I want to see what the kit looks like, and then I want to see what it turned out to look like, because I know all they did is throw it together in a weekend, a couple of days here, paint it up. That gives me a good idea how the kit actually fits. Is it worth my while? Those videos, they may be a 10, 15-minute video long, but I guarantee you nobody watches more than 2 minutes of it on average. My videos are 5 minutes long usually, and it's a 1 to 2.5 minute viewing. I've never quite figured out how you could do a 1 to 2.5 minute viewing of my videos, because usually I'm talking straight through and not showing much, but whatever. I'm making jokes and you're missing all the jokes on the way. But the sweet spot seems to be 10 minutes. You put up a 10-minute video, analytics will look at it, and it'll be a 3 to 4 minute watch. And that will get the algorithms going, start recommending you.
And there for a while, they changed all that stuff, right?
Yeah.
So then you couldn't upload, what was it, over a 9-minute video there for a while?
Yeah. And then, you could have so many subscribers, and then you could start doing it.
Yeah.
You know, at one point, if you didn't have 1,000 subscribers, you couldn't do a live.
Yeah. That was really horrible.
Yeah, how are you supposed to grow your channel?
Yeah. No, it is true. It is very, very true.
And, you know, if there's no money to be made monetizing model builders. I mean, the companies make money, but us, I don't think anybody makes any real money. Not even like some of the military guys with 10,000 subscribers. They don't make any, like, quote, I'm going to quit my job and just build models money.
Yeah. I mean, that'd be the dream, right? But
yeah. Sit in your basement all day, or you can afford to build I always literally get jealous of the guys in the UK and warm spots, like, you know, where they've got a 10 by 10 shed outside the house. It's like they don't have a man cave, they have a man house, little house. It's all wired up in the shed, and it's like, oh. Then you look around, it's insulated, and it's got walls, it's got air conditioning, it's got a heater. They're running, they run electrical outlets every 3 feet around the whole thing. It's just, you just look at it and go, wow, I wish I could do that and get away with it.
Yeah, some of those, and you know, the hobby spaces are like to the individual, right? Because I mean, before my brother moved into my house, I used to use that third room,
right,
for my hobby room. Well, then he moved in, and then I had to move everything out to the garage. And since I've been out here, it seems like when it's really super cold, I'm not out here.
No.
And when it's super, super hot, I'm not out here.
Yeah, I don't blame you. I'm like,
it's like, but those are the times I have when I can do the hobby. So it's like,
gotta be in between. Yeah. Like with me, it's funny around here when it gets super hot, it'll be like 30 degrees Celsius out there. I could put a shiny coat on my kit outside. By the time I go to finish, come back inside, take all my paints back downstairs. You know, I've got it all covered. I come back outside, the thing's dry.
Yeah.
I'm like, holy crap. And I mean, dry to the touch. Like, sure, now if I take it back downstairs, it starts to, where it's moist, it starts to, you know, absorb a little bit more moisture inside it. But
yeah, like during the winter months, I have what is called they have hobby or Harbor Freights down here in the States. Mm-hmm. I don't know if they have them up there where you're at. But
we have a thing called Princess Auto. Same thing.
Okay, so they
probably
have
the company too.
circular heater fans.
Yep.
They're like $30 or whatever. Mm-hmm. And I put that over by my spray booth just to warm up that area.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
I can at least airbrush.
Right.
In the wintertime.
Yeah.
It's just crazy.
Yeah. I vent out the back. There has been times where I've looked behind me and there's snow coming in through the into my snow booth or into my booth if I don't have the filter in front.
Oh,
it's blowing in. I'm like, what the hell? Because I'll be on camera and hang out or whatever, and I'll look behind me and I'll see these flakes. I'm like, oh wow, my room is extra dusty today. And then I realized, oh, never mind. It's snow.
We'll go through and do some of the.
Oh, you're gonna laugh.
Yeah. Well, it seemed like the chat this week was kind of hopping. He's actually going to be next week.
Yeah, that was one of the things I was going to tell you is that you just need to promote yourself more. And by the way, I can't wait until James next week.
Oh yeah,
he's a book of knowledge when it comes to cars.
You know, I don't watch a lot of his videos, but I watch some when they're.
Mm-hmm. Oh, I watch religiously. Even the ones his his in the box video, or what he got in the box video, and that's not what's in a model. That's what I got in a box. And he pulls out 10 kits or something.
Yeah. No, I mean, for the most part, I basically try to share these videos across Facebook.
Yep.
This also streams to Twitch.
Oh, that's cool.
But yeah, for the most part, that's kind of how I've just been, letting the channel just grow naturally that way. And time will tell,
Shut up, Jeff. I don't need a shave.
Yeah, that must not be for me.
That's true, Jeff. $10. Dwayne knows.
Oh yeah. Wing. That's the video you sent me, right?
Yeah.
The wheels and wings. That looked like a really cool store.
Oh, dude. I cannot, like, if you remember the guy with the little round glasses and the cheesy mustache, that's one of the I'm not sure how much he owns. He might own part of it. He might be the major employee. But that guy knows everything about whatever models are there. He'll know it. He actually takes the time to read up on them. And he'll know what's coming out, especially military, because, military is number one in our hobby. Like with that video you saw, that's the airplane section. Just the airplane section.
Oh, wow.
When you look down towards the very back, that's another room just for armor. For cars, the one wall is on the other side. It's all cars from the back. And then there's a sci-fi section, a boat section. Like there's an easy 10,000 kits in that shop.
Wow. That's saying a lot. Wow.
And believe it or not, there are times that you can't find a model. Never was said. Hardest part in that place is not walking out with too many models.
But that's the advantage of having a hobby shop, right?
Like that. Oh, you should see all the tools, all the paints, all the aftermarket. But that's a hobby shop that's specifically for just plastic. My closest hobby shop is more RC oriented, but they have a very large collection of models, like very large, and they will get you whatever you want. It may take a couple of months because they got to build up the order big enough, but they really do remember their past because they all started building models. Everybody starts building models. Even RC guys started with a plastic model.
No, and for me, it's railroad. That's the only reason I still have a hobby shop.
Yeah.
The railroad community here is like they're on their own little theme tour every week.
Yeah.
Seems like.
The railroad guy here, there's a funny story that he did, and I believe it because it's a really nice railroad shop. Little secret, by the way, 24 scale is very similar to G scale.
Oh, okay.
So they're expensive, but those houses and buildings, G scale, you can put them as a backdrop for your cars. What he would do is some older guy, and I mean older, 70s, 80s, would come in and he'd buy a new locomotive. And you know how expensive the locomotives are. He would give his card to the guy's wife. And she would go, he'd look at her and say, she would say to him, go, what's this for? She goes, when he dies, you can sell it back to me. I'll buy it back from you. And one of the guys actually asked him, why do you do that? He says, I don't know. I've sold that engine 3 times already. I was like, wow. When they say the hobby's dying, I don't think they mean it that way. But yeah. So when people like any of these hobbies, yeah, sure, they slow down. But like with our hobby, it's just changing demographic. It's for the 40 plus now.
Yeah, I agree with that. And then you add like Games Workshop.
Yeah.
That's where the youth and stuff's going.
Exactly. And the price of Games Workshop, it blows my mind. But the quality of that figure is wow.
Yeah. I mean, you
know, that's Games Workshop.
I have that. That is an awesome figure.
Yeah. And I got all the knights. I painted 3 of them already, but I was just like, you just put it together and you're like, I didn't put any putty in this.
No.
You just clean up the lines and paint. And their paints, like, and their washes, like, and their shades. If you use their system, you could paint a really nice military figure. Like for your tank guy. Use their flesh idea. You know, you start with this, go to this, done.
Mm-hmm.
The only problem I have with military or with figures like 35 scale is they all look like this. Because I can't get it. I cannot get it in the eye.
So this is a tip that I was told is like take you know how a lot of the figures are looking like to this.
Yeah, you always
Or so put the eyeballs in the corners. So you're looking in a direction.
Right.
So it's like even if you mess up with it, it kind of looks.
Oh yeah, okay. That's a good idea. Yeah.
And I've gotten better at it, but I still like putting a black dot in the middle of an eyeball that's like the size of a ballpoint pen.
Yeah. And like you got to paint the white, and then you got to paint the black, and then you got to put in the blue. And then if you're really good, you got to put in the iris, and you're like, how do you guys do that? It's even like, I guess that, what's that, 28 mil is 35 scale?
Yeah.
You just look at them and you're like, how'd you do that?
So for me, I do it a little bit different. Like I'll go in and put like a brown wash, like wash the inner part of the eye.
Yep.
Then I'll paint it white. And then I'll go around and paint get a red and just kind of highlight the upper eye.
Right. Then
you go in and paint. If you haven't done the white yet, you just do the white. And then I will do we'll say blue, right? Or blue brown. And then try to put the black dot in after.
Right.
After that. Because it'll look better. Because sometimes you can just do, like if you put it in the corner, you can just do the blue and then put a little dot in the corner and that's the way it looks.
Right.
It looks a little bit better. It still looks wonky as all can get up, but it at least you're putting it in a direction.
So when you build models, or because I have seen you build models and figures, do you have a theme in your head? Like, are you one of those people that has a story, or do you just build a model?
It depends on what it's for. Like the picture, the background for this, that flying saucer thing that I did.
Yeah.
That my dad wanted in a military thing. That was actually his model kit. He wanted me to build it for him. So I kind of had a direction I had to go in, which is kind of cool. But after that, it was whatever I wanted to do. But I had to have a military kind of theme.
Right.
You know. But most of the time, it's just like when I get a box open, you know, I primed the Batwing for the Val Kilmer movie.
Right. Yeah.
It's in gray primer, and I have no idea when I'm going to get her. I haven't figured out what the outside. It's going to be silver or a bluish silver or black silver. I got all the chrome pieces done. They're all washed and clear coated.
Oh wow! I mean, I could probably look in my stash, and we won't go in there because half of it fell over about 8 months ago, and I haven't picked it up because I'm not picking up that many kits. I'll just keep stashed through them, and as I go looking for one, I put it up on the hill or up on the shelf. I probably had an idea in my head what it was going to look like for every kit, like a lot of the guys do, but it still sits there. I try to tell my wife that it doesn't work. Like about 2 years ago, I had to pack up half my stash, and the first thing she said was, "Oh, good. We can sell those." But nah, the boxes are open, taking parts from this one. You're not going to make any money from it. And it goes, "Oh, now you got a nice clean, it's nice and clean. You can walk in there. What are you going to do now?" I said, "Buy more kits." I lasted about 3 weeks. Because I'll tell you a funny story. The reason I had so many kits, or I actually have so many, like AMT, Revell, MPC, stuff like that. We had a model guy here. I mean, I think you guys can still do it down there, but up here, the distributors aren't allowed to sell to the independent guys that, sell out of their house or at the shows. So they buy dashes and lots and stuff like that, and that's how we get our kits at the shows, or the stores show up. And if the store shows up, well, that's a whole different story. So this guy, he was like a drug dealer. Literally, it was like he would sell his kits half the price that you would get them anywhere else. He would only make, say, $5 or $10 a kit instead of the 20 or 30, whatever, we'll say 20 that the hobby shops make. I mean, my clothes shop, we have a deal. Pinnacle here, I don't pay the tax on any of my stuff. I mean, I'm paying tax, but that means he's discounted it, and that's what the price is. He works that out on his own. But he showed me the actual breakdown, and it's about 50%. So if a kit costs $20 in the store, he probably paid up to $10 for it.
Yeah.
But that's to cover his costs. And if you think giving a retailer, 50%, that's a good deal. They're giving you a deal if you're getting it 50% above his cost.
Think of it like in your actual job, like food costs, right?
We can't tell you food costs because you guys would freak. But actually, when you think about it, they make more money than we do. Food costs run at, depending on the restaurant. If it's fine dining, it runs about 18%. But that's food cost.
Yeah.
That doesn't include your rent, your hydro, your heat, your fixtures, paying your stuff like that. By the time you're done, most restaurants are only making about 25%. And if you're now, as a catering chef, which with age I've rolled into, the percentages that you're paying, just go to the hub. Like, I literally tell people, just go to the grocery store and buy that pre-made vegetable dip thing for $25, $30, because the amount that they put on there, I'm going to charge you $70.
Yeah. No, But it's that's probably the closest when you go to retail food. You know what I mean? Because you have more than just the kit, shipping. You actually have to pay for the lights,
everything,
the employees,
and
you have to figure that out. And when you're all said and done, I mean, that's why hobby shops, they're not dying, but they're going.
A lot of them are going. Wheels and Wings supposedly had the best 4 months they've ever had during lockdown, where they only had curbside or online shopping.
Yeah.
I'm like, so you literally are paying for a space to store your kits in the downtown core, or just outside the downtown core, in a major section of Toronto. So I can't imagine what the space is. I mean, on that one also, they have an upstairs, and that's where they've built the club room for and stuff like that.
Oh, for like a meeting spot?
Yeah, and meetings and things like that. Yeah. We've had one hobby store close down here in the last 10 years. And the only reason it closed down, retirement. He just was done. He was making money. He just retired.
Yeah, I mean, the pandemic seems to have given people time to do this hobby, right?
Oh, and the thought
kind of come back to it.
Yeah, like to come back and go, I remember doing that. Let's try that. Or I watched, you got none of the time, let's watch YouTube. And then all of a sudden you're watching going, you're watching guys build models and you're like, oh, that's so cool.
Yeah. It is really, really cool, how the hobby's kind of grown. And you can tell by just YouTube.
Yeah.
That it's been growing.
I was doing research on this 65 that I'm working on. And I went back, and I went way back. I just started going through hundreds of videos. I ran into, it's disturbing in a way, but great at the same time. I ran into a gentleman that when I first came into YouTube building models, Jim Chandler, Big Jim. It was Big Jim, Fast Jimmy, Chevy Cheeseburger, all those guys.
We need Chevy Cheeseburger back, by the way. I loved his channel.
Oh, we all loved his channel. And the hangouts were fun too. They got a little racy, but nowadays I don't think we could do those live hangouts. But also at the same time, you run into those issues where you can't go backwards. This hobby really needs to only go forwards. Mm-hmm. When you think of round 2, and it's like, oh, they're producing all those old kits. Yes, but they're moving forward with those old kits. They're not moving backwards ever. Like they're introducing it to a new person. Always at least one new person.
And like round 2 now is doing.
Yeah, they've got the investment.
Star Trek or Star Wars? I think it's Star Trek.
They're hardcore into Star Trek. Looks like they're moving into Star Wars, I believe, like reissuing their Star Wars.
Well, maybe that's what it was.
There is a possibility they did just finish redoing, because the mold was so bad, a big rig. They refixed some 60s car that they had. I don't remember what it was. Everybody got all excited about it. I was just like, not my thing. When it comes to car kits, I really wish, the reason I build so many Tamiyas and stuff like that is it's modern.
Yeah.
I wish, but at the level, like you'll get into this next week, hopefully, like actual talk about, how much it costs to do a mold. And then maybe people understand why they don't get a a kit that only a few people are going to buy.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that is going to be one of the topics I cover next week. I'm not going to lie. That is going to be one of the topics. But and yeah, I don't want to get too far into this, but just the price point, how they're doing some of the stuff too now. But
Manufacturing, it's not cheap.
It's not.
And just because it says made in America doesn't mean it's going to be good.
Well,
only because a lot of the time it says made in America because it was cheaper to keep the kit here than to send it over to China. Because they knew they weren't going to sell as many as they could. Made in America literally is a promotion.
Mm-hmm.
That's how it started 100 years ago. Made in America. I'm going to buy it. Made in Canada. I'm going to buy it. It's like, okay. It's a promotional thing.
Well, and then a lot, if you really break it down, there's not a lot of stuff that's made here.
No, and that's fine. That's just the way it is. And not to get too political, any jobs coming back, it's going to be in manufacturing, will be done automatically, automation.
Yeah.
So the new jobs coming back will be here. You can sweep the floor. Like, we just need to move on to different things. Like Pittsburgh, of all places, from what I understand, turned into a tech hub.
Yeah, I've heard that lately. Yeah.
And it's like, okay, there you go. They moved on. They saw. They're not really looking for the steel industry to come back. The same with model kits. Like, just because it's made in a place doesn't make it any better. Like, to me, it doesn't make their kits in majority of their kits in China. They make it in Malaysia. They're not made in Japan. We all farm out our stuff. We farm out our community. How many people in our community talk to other people all around the world?
Yeah, I mean, that's fair. I talked to quite a few people out of Europe.
Yeah.
I mean, I never really thought that was going to be the case when I started this YouTube thing.
Oh, of course not.
It seems like, yeah, I mean, all across the world, it seems like I'm talking to somebody.
Yeah. I talk to Russians. Our interaction is a little sketchy because language barrier, but because we both use Google, and we know Google doesn't translate well sometimes.
No, that's true.
I mean, I know very little Japanese, but I know sometimes when I Google Japanese and look what it says, and I'm like, that's not what it says. So,
you got any other questions for me?
Yeah, I'm trying to think of a good one, but I got stupid ones.
Funny.
I mean, like, besides that big, gigantic, I don't even know what it is. Is it like an Ed 202 or something? What is that thing?
Okay, so you're familiar.
Is it? Oh, actually, I think I do know what it is now. I figured it out. It's a Titan.
It is the Games Workshop Warlord Titan.
Oh, jeez.
The actual size of it, not the adepted can't. Not this size.
Mm-hmm.
It's actual. I found a Facebook group that does a lot of the printing stuff for the bigger ones.
Right.
So, needless to say, there's going to be a couple more of these coming down the pipeline.
I think it's huge. So speaking of 3D printing, because you did 3D printing, you've done airbrushing. What do you think 3D printing is going to do for our hobby?
So, not a lot of people like this opinion, but okay. I think at some point the manufacturers are going to figure out how to do STL files for all of us, and I'm not saying in 5, maybe not 10 years,
Yep.
But after 10 years, I want to say there's not going to be, you're going to go to the store and get a kit. You're going to, you're going to get a file, print it out, and then build it.
Okay.
And the only reason I say
I see where you're going.
Is going, right?
Yeah. See, I personally think there'll always be, as you say, but the print, well, I don't know about 10 years, but there's just something, and maybe because I'm old, but there's something about snapping that thing off the tree.
Hey, have you done prints?
No, I don't find the investment for me worth the actual money. I mean, for me, for the amount of a printer, like a good printer, because I don't want to. Like I started watching these things back when it was, you got that string and then you guys ran it filament.
Yeah, I have that. Yeah.
I was looking at those and the prices were huge back then, and then they went down to $200 or $300-$400, whatever. And then I was like, maybe. The wife looked at printing at the beginning of COVID as a way to make money, and I went, no. She goes, really? No. I could build parts for your cars or for doll houses. And I went, there's no real money in that, honey. Like real money. There's sit at home money for that. But you can't quit your job and make you're not going to pull in, we'll say $4,000 a month.
Well, okay. On the modeling car side,
yeah,
tanks, plane, getting the little bitty parts. Yes, yeah. I agree with that. You're not. But where 3D printing has changed the game is figures.
Mm-hmm.
Because you can get a figure this big, right?
Yeah.
Sell it for, I mean, I don't know if the actual numbers, right? But
yeah.
It probably cost you in resin or filament $20.
Right.
And you're going to sell it for $55, $60.
But how many are you going to sell in a month?
I know a couple people that do that full time now.
Oh yeah. Okay.
Yeah. They're not. How do I say it? I mean, there's a lot of logistics to it.
Yeah. Well, that's another thing too, logistics.
But where they went back to, like, they're talking about going back to work.
Yeah.
Because of health insurance.
See? Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, he's still going to do it, and he's still going to make extra money. But the reason he's going back to work is because of health insurance, which isn't a bad thing. I mean, I get it. Getting older, the check engine light comes on at some point,
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Oh, I know. I mean, I've never quite understood the. I mean, we have great healthcare up here, but it still costs money.
Yeah.
It doesn't cost as much money as it would down there, but
it's healthcare here is ridiculous.
But I mean, I don't understand the whole, like when it comes to printing, how everybody could have a printer.
It's and I will say this. I have a resin printer. I'm actually working out all the kinks in it.
Yep.
But it's not just, you set it up and push play. I mean, you got to tinker with it. You actually got to be. I mean, I didn't get good results just overnight with the filament printers because I've ordered a couple of resin prints.
Mm-hmm.
And I swear to God, if I'd have met that guy, I'd have beat him to death because I could have got better results out of my filament printer than out of the resin one. But that's how he set it up.
Now, our kids, the younger generation that we're trying to go after we're all saying the hobby's dying. And yeah, they'll be into the printing because they know CAD. They'll know CAD by the time they're done high school. Or at least up here, majorities go through all that stuff in high school, and then you got go into university and stuff like that. You need to learn this stuff. They'll learn it quick.
Mm-hmm. No, it's true.
But us old guys, we forget what we had for dinner yesterday.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm actually learning AutoCAD at work right now.
Oh, wow. But see,
no, it's not as fun as I thought it was going to be.
no,
And
no, it's not.
I knew a little bit, and I'm still struggling.
I look at the stuff like this and I go, it's like when I look at my parents trying to use how to text on a phone. I just look at that and go, no, I'm going to turn into that fat finger guy trying to text on a phone that's this small and there's never going to happen. I'm like, no, I'll let somebody else do it. But honestly, when it comes to like the price of a printer, I'd rather like to build a whole model. Correct me if I'm wrong, but that's at least $400 or $500, if not more.
This guy, that came off a 300 by 300 bed, 300 millimeters by, so I could do a car body.
Right.
I
don't recommend doing a car body because somebody will tell you did it wrong. But anyway.
Well,
don't worry. You could totally 3D scan it from top to bottom and somebody will tell you, no, that's not right.
Yeah, Fred's got a good point.
Yeah.
That's a good point.
Well, when we were younger, we didn't play in the computers. I mean, when I was younger, like here, I'll show you my age. Do you know what how to snap the cards to run a program?
Snap the cards.
Yeah, they were paper cards, and you had to hit the right number. All our screens were green.
Oh yeah.
You make a pile of cards, and then it would run through. Yeah. Like, I'm just happy I have hopefully my kid doesn't watch this because he doesn't know it. That my computer is a gaming. I'm just happy to have a gaming computer to watch videos on, which makes no sense, but everything's in there. I look at it. To me, it's an investment. This computer will work in 10 years for what I use it for.
Oh yeah. Like I upgraded because I had to get better computer for the resin printer.
Yeah.
I upgraded. I kind of cheated a little bit. I didn't get the desktop or the laptop that's like $1,200-$1,300, right?
Yeah.
I went and got the iMac Mini, and I just plugged it into the TV, and I already have the, and Fred.
Yeah, Fred, your phone is a bigger computer now than what went to the moon to get them to the moon. which really scares the crap out of me.
Yeah.
It's like, you went to the moon on a computer smaller than my phone? How come we can't solve every other issue in the world?
Anyway. Right?
Yeah, clean water. I'm just happy with clean water. I'm a bit of an environmentalist. I think which is an oxymoron considering what I do for a hobby.
Okay, you're gonna have to explain that one.
Well, what do we work with?
Plastic. Okay.
That doesn't break down very easily.
No. Okay.
Yeah.
I see what you're saying.
And but here I am worried about what's going on in the world, in the environment, and what we're putting into it. I'm like, how many sprues do I throw out? And I'm just like, some days I'm like, I got to get a new hobby, but I love it too much.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like, oh, I just love this shit, but why do I do it? I don't know. But yeah, my other hobby is fishing or 4x4. Like,
but yeah, it seems like you have to have multiple hobbies now.
yeah.
You can't just, I mean, yeah, I got into the 3D printing, and that's probably my second hobby other than this,
Yeah,
but it's kind of combined, right?
But still,
But
my fishing and overlanding or 4x4ing, that's the same. Now I get into the lake where there aren't a million people on it.
No, that's whatever you got to do, right?
Yeah.
But yeah, 3D printing, I think when it's all said and done, changes the game.
I think so too. I just don't think it's going to kill the hobby.
It's going to kill aspects of the hobby.
Mm-hmm. I agree with that.
But it's going to improve other aspects of the hobby because now you can go build that really cool monster truck from Fury Road or Mad Max Fury Road, right? Yeah. Now you have your imagination but you have to buy the software. That's the other.
Yeah.
And I mean, that's kind of where I think 3D printing is really going to change the hobby. Mm-hmm. And kids seem to be, I think even in my son's elementary school now, they have a 3D printer.
Yeah. Yeah. Every office I would go into, like tech office or .com offices or whatever, they had 3D printers for the employees to play with. It's like, okay. 3D printers, beanbag chairs, and a bar. Doesn't sound like a bad thing. What are you going to do when you're done work? I'm going to go down to the bar and sit on a beanbag chair, on my laptop, and design a figure to print off on the 3D printer.
Yeah.
Yeah. You'd be surprised at stuff you see in these .com companies.
Engineering anymore, dude. It's I think because I used to take. Do you remember the Predator I did probably about 2 years ago?
Yep.
I took that to work to clear coat it.
Right.
Because it could sit on the shelf. I could drive by it real quick, clear coat the crap out of it, spin it, clear coat the other side real quick, set it for an hour or go do something, my job.
Yeah.
Come back to it, and it, after 8 hours, you'd have 3 or 4 coats on it that are completely dry.
Right.
And, and people started noticing that, I like, how are you doing that? And people finally figured out, no, I'm in the wrong department. I need to go to programming.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, and then they came and asked me, and I was like, well, I'm not going to say no because I'm going to learn how to do AutoCAD. But
yeah,
the headache I have right now with work, I should have stayed in shipping.
And learned AutoCAD at home.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hey, whoa. I am not that young. Come on.
Oh, geez. No, Josh is too young to remember.
Man. Of course, I'm not as old as
we're talking about the computer cards.
Oh, yeah. I think they were phasing that stuff out
They probably were at that point, yeah.
I think yeah, I remember them, but it didn't seem like it lasted very long.
No, it wouldn't have. Probably not. Oh, man.
No, that's very true, Fred. In a couple of weeks, we're going to talk about his other hobby. Fred's going to be on in a couple of weeks. It's going to be a fun show.
Fred doesn't have another hobby.
Fred
is another hobby. Fred's got so many other hobbies.
Well, anyway, man, I think unless you don't have another question, I'm going to end this.
No, I'm all good.
I will talk to you in a couple minutes, okay?
All good, man.
All right, everybody. That was fun little episode. I learned quite a bit about, air rattle can stuff. Hopefully you learned some stuff too. Went a little long this time, but it's how it is. Seems like the hour mark seems to have just kind of been a reference at this point. Hopefully everybody liked the episode, and I will see you guys next week. Oh.